Hello, my name is Captain Lee. Welcome to the Asylum Police Department. We are glad to have you here with us. As a member of the APD, it is our duty to serve and protect the citizens of Altus. In this video, we will be teaching you the basic knowledge needed to start your career as an APD officer. Your cadet period will be a total of 8 days. On the 8th day, you may take a ride-along with a lieutenant or higher. If you attended training, a day will be taken off your cadet week, meaning it will go from 8 days of training to 7. In order to become a constable, you must pass the ride-along. Mock ride-alongs are highly encouraged. As a cadet, there are a few rules which you must follow at all times. Rule number 1. As an APD officer, it is your duty to act in a professional manner, as we are representatives of Altus and its community. This means you must be respectful during all encounters while playing as an officer. Rule number 2. No matter what, you must role-play everything. However, there are a few exceptions in which you may break role-play, such as a bug player who must soft or hard log. But other than that, you must role-play every situation you may encounter. Rule number 3. During your cadet week, you may not go back to the civilian life until you complete your training period. If at any point you wish to take a leave of absence to return to civilian life, you must get authorization from a lieutenant or higher. If you are caught playing civilian without permission, your cadet week may be extended or terminated on the spot. Rule number 4. During your cadet week, you must have a constable or higher with you at all times. You may not patrol alone or with other cadets without the presence of a constable or higher. I will now leave you in the capable hands of Lieutenant Dustrunner.
Good afternoon, cadets. We'll begin by starting with an officer will always use their voice first in order to get a suspect's attention to either turn themselves in or get them to surrender. If a civilian is resisting arrest, tries to run away, or fights back, or is unable to be restrained, you may then engage this person with your actual weapon, which then you may proceed to down the target and restrain them. Note, just seeing someone on the wanted list does not give you a right to proceed to down someone. You must always use your voice first. And if there is ever a time in which people are interfering with police procedure, and you have given them a warning to leave, you may restrain them. It is imperative that you do not down them, use lethal rounds, or flashbangs as a means of controlling the crowd. Now we'll go over your standard equipment. When you go into the shop, you will buy a standard set loadout of 10 coffee, 10 donuts, and 10 Red Bull. When you go into the clothing shop, you will be able to buy the bandolier hats and glasses of your choice. Once you have unlocked the talent for it, you will be able to purchase the police tactical vest using the prudent talent. For weapons as a cadet, you will have access to the SPAR 16 and Mark 20 assault rifles. For your weapons, green chasers will be downing while yellow are lethals. As a cadet, you will have access to first aid kits that will heal you up to 75% health. These are available at the HQ, while if you wish to grab splints, blood bags, or defib units, you will have to go to a medical center to grab these items. Now as a cadet, you will not have access to flashbangs or smoke grenades. As a cadet, you will also be granted access to the ATV quad bike. Once you become a constable, you'll be given access to the SUV, off-road, and sports hatchback, if of course you're a donor level 3. As an APD officer, you are not allowed to use your vehicle to stop or slow other vehicles during a chase. These are called pit maneuvers, aka rolling barricades, and are not allowed while on duty. Next, we're going to go over the specific witness types. First, we have a direct witness. This is when you personally see someone commit a crime, in which you gain probable cause to stop and search the person. An example would be, you see someone with an illegal firearm on their back. You approach this person and call out, "APD, sir, please stop," or, "This is Matt with APD. Sir, please put your hands up." Then we have an eyewitness, which is when another civilian tells you of another civilian committing or has committed a crime. In this case, an eyewitness does not give you probable cause. Lastly, we have a relayed witness, which is another officer telling you that they saw someone commit a crime. Example would be, this is Officer Hanzo relaying that civilian George was picking cocaine and seen heading your way. He is driving a white sports hatchback. This will give you probable cause to search said person and their vehicle. Now, there will be times in your career in which a more lethal force is required to deal with criminals. Lethal rounds can be called to deal with a situation that may call for it. Something of importance next, a sergeant or higher may give the order for lethal rounds if they deem necessary. Now, if there is no sergeant or higher online, a unanimous vote may be taken with constables and corporals on the scene at the time. This means all officers must agree to switch to lethal rounds. If only one officer is against it, then you must remain loaded with rubber bullets until all officers agree. An instance in which an officer may not switch to lethal rounds is when a civilian is being stubborn during their arrest, harassing you, or disobeying your orders. If you are found guilty of misuse of lethal rounds, action can be taken against you and anybody associated with you. As a cadet, you will not be permitted to use lethal rounds. Next, we will go over redeploying, and more specifically, soft logging. In order for an officer to soft log, there are a few rules in which we must follow. An officer is able to soft log when there is less than 6 officers online. Redeployment orders are given, you are stranded, and have no way to get to a vehicle, or other illegal activity takes place, such as a bank robbery, Federal Reserve robbery, or a prison break. You may not soft log to backup calls. You must fly or drive over to the situation at hand. One exception being, there are less than 6 officers online. You may soft log back to your city when you have successfully responded to the backup call, Federal Reserve robbery, prison break, bank robbery, etc. Next, we're going to go over how civilians contact the APD. When someone contacts the APD by text, it will show on the map the location the text was sent. Open up the map by pressing M to see the location of where the text was sent. Then we have a nice important process in the APD's procedures: ticketing and processing a civilian. The downing officer will be the officer that charges and processes the civilian unless they have stated otherwise. As a cadet, whenever you are processing someone, you must have a constable or higher present. You may not reduce the ticket price or give parole without the consent of the constable plus. Note, a cadet is not allowed to add additional charges, thus a constable or higher must be present. When giving tickets to civilians, they are allowed up to a maximum of 3 chances to pay their ticket. It is the officer's discretion if they wish to issue this number of tickets. As an officer, you are not allowed to issue parole/pardons to your friends or gang members. If a civilian turns themselves in, or is not aggressive toward the officers, they are entitled to a 50% ticket. Now, as a cadet, you still must let the higher ranking officer know about a person who turns themselves in, or is not aggressive. During the processing period, at any point, a civilian is able to request a higher-up if they feel their rights are being infringed upon. When they request a higher-up, you must ask for their reason and bring it to the highest-ranking and available officer on duty at that time. At no point can you give a reduced ticket to your friends, pardon them, or issue them parole. Civilians who are non-aggressive and non-evasive will begin their ticket price at 50%. Once a ticket has been given, you are not allowed to give parole if they refuse the ticket. Now we'll go over manned APD checkpoint procedures. You are allowed to man checkpoints, marked blue on the map, at any given time barring these requirements are met. A bare minimum of 2 officers are required to operate a checkpoint, with at least 1 officer being a constable or higher. When a civilian approaches the checkpoint, you must explain why you are running a checkpoint using roleplay. If a civilian is willing to submit to a search, they may pass through the checkpoint. If the civilian denies the request for you to search their person and vehicle, you retain the right to refuse them passage through the checkpoint, ultimately turning them around. An important note, if a civilian denies the right for an officer to search them, it does not give probable cause. If you witness a civilian purposely driving around a manned checkpoint by off-roading to avoid being searched, you gain probable cause and may now search them in their vehicle. Searching, impounding, and seizing a vehicle is our next topic. A person's vehicle is an extension of themselves. If you do not have probable cause to search them, you may not search their vehicle. One exception being the vehicle is found inside of an illegal area. When a vehicle is impounded, it goes back to the civilian's garage. If it is seized, the APD takes possession of the vehicle permanently, effectively removing it from the garage. To search a vehicle, or use any option, you may use the scroll wheel option to search, impound, or seize items in a vehicle. You do not need probable cause to check registration. You may check this at any time. During firefights, you are not allowed to search, seize, or impound a vehicle at all. There are some exceptions to this rule that you will learn in a later time. Thank you for your time, and congratulations for taking the first steps into becoming a full-fledged officer within the APD. Welcome to the APD, Cadet.
Welcome to the APD.